First of all, I want to start by thanking Carrie. She's been absolutely delightful to work with throughout this, so it's really an honor to be here. I want to start by getting you involved right away. Please turn to someone next to you. Find someone intelligent close by. This should not be difficult. And I'd like you to tell that person one thing that you personally do well in working with customers. I don't want you to talk about your business, but you say, when I'm working with a customer, this is what I do well. It's time to brag about yourself. You have 60 seconds to do this. Everybody should be talking. Okay, if you could start to wrap up that thought. Please wrap up that thought. Okay, well, what we're going to start talking about this afternoon is exceptional customer service. And by I mean that, creating an impressive reputation for you, your organization, and for this entire area. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to kick off the tourism season in the Black Hills of South Dakota. How many of you have been out to the Black Hills? And I'll tell you what I did. They had me come out there for 4 days, and I had a rental car, and each day they had me present customer service training to all the frontline employees in every hotel, attraction, whatever, and they hit it strong. All the 4 areas, Spearfish, Custer, Rapid City, I guess the 3 areas, work together and do this every year. They bring in a speaker who can go and hit everybody on customer service excellence in late May. But the thing that struck me about that entire area is they have a deep understanding that as hotels, attractions, businesses, whatever, we're not in competition with each other. We depend upon each other. That when people go out to the Black Hills, they want them to have an amazing time in Spearfish, so they stick around the area and say, you know what, let's drive into Rapid City and check that out. And they understand that if someone has a great experience at a hotel here, that maybe they'll stay a little longer in the area. Next time, try their hotel. So I want you to think about it in terms of what kind of feelings do people associate with the whole area. Someone who comes here for the state softball tournament or for the cross country or whatever, and they say, oh my gosh, those people in Fort Dodge were really friendly people. They might, the next time they're driving through on Highway 20, say, let's stop in Fort Dodge for a few hours. We've got a few hours to kill, do a little shopping, eat supper and that. So I hope you think about it as all of us together, supporting each other, and having people have just a really good experience while they're in the area. So that's what we're talking about. Okay, I get it, first of all. Does this look like any of you when you're at work? Trying to stay positive when it comes to the customers. I get it that it's not easy to work with customers all the time and be pleasant. How many of you would say after a day of working with customers, you're pretty tired? I'd say that's a really good sign, because the reality is, if you're someone you really are trying to provide customers excellent service all day long, you're probably going to be real tired at the end of the day, because it takes a lot of energy. Customers can be difficult, and you're trying to keep yourself calm and all of that. It's a demanding business. Here's where we're going in this session. We will be doing a 2-hour session. We'll stop about halfway through and just take a quick 5-minute stretcher break. But if at any time you want to get up and stretch your legs or use the restroom or refill your drink, you will not offend me in the least bit. You're finally away from your desk, so relax. If you want to lean back in your chair, do whatever you want to do. All right, here's where we're going. First of all, we're going to start by laying the foundation with a few thoughts, kind of pick your brains regarding customer service. Then we're going to go into kind of, I call the meat and potatoes of customer service, kind of the basic across the board expectations. We'll talk about several ways to put yourself in the customer's shoes. And in our last part, we'll talk about what do we do if something goes wrong. You know, we're humans and we're working in customer service. There are times when the ball will be dropped. Well, there's a lot of research that tells us that if the ball is dropped, but your organization handles it in a way that people feel like, wow, they treated me right. They did it well. That you can actually gain a more loyal customer to your organization in the long run. So that's where we're headed. Any questions or comments before we dig in? Okay. Here's where we want to go. Start with laying the foundation. I've always been a believer that, we have what the research, what the experts say, and I will be providing you a lot of what the experts have to say about excellent customer service. But I've often felt that's kind of like this vertical axis, and on the horizontal axis is our real life experience. What in our real world, what that is like. And I've always thought where those two come together and meet is probably about where the truth lies. So before I give you what the, quote, experts have to say about service, I want to tap into your own experience. I'd like you to think for a moment of the individuals and businesses that you turn to in your personal life on a regular basis that you keep going back to? And what is it that keeps you going back to these particular business? For example, the grocery store. What's the one that you tend to frequent? And why? Why is it that that's the place you choose to go? What about the convenience store, gas station, when you have to fill up your tank or when you want to stop in and get a snack in the middle of the afternoon? Which one's the one that you tend to just want to stop into that one? The restaurants, the coffee shops that you tend to frequent. And even the individuals, the person who does your taxes, the person who cuts your hair. Why is it that you go back to these people? So what I'd like you to do is grab some people, a group of 3 or 4 of you, and just brainstorm a little bit. And I actually want you to come up with some names of businesses that you tend to frequent and why. Any questions? All right, you'll have 3 or 4 minutes for this, so please grab the people next to you and get right to work. Love some volunteers. Who'd be willing to say a business that you frequent and why? Please do not be shy. We learn from each other. Yes, ma'am. Right up here, Lindsay.
Hy-Vee. I was a former employee of Hy-Vee, so I feel that I continue to stay loyal to that company. Just my experience that I had there while working for them as well as a customer. Plus, They have fuel saver that leads me to gas at Casey's.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, you had a good experience there. You have a great experience there now, plus they have the fuel saver card, which takes you to Casey's because they're connected together and you get the discount. Excellent. Another example. I saw another hand somewhere. Yes, ma'am.
I, too, was going to comment on Hy-Vee. I love talking to their pharmacists. You can ask them as many questions about vitamins, prescriptions, and they don't look like they're tired of you asking as many questions as you do. So.
Interesting that the Hy-Vee pharmacists, you can ask the guy or the gal a million questions, they never seem to grow tired of it. They're just happy to do it. Excellent. Another example. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to go against you girls.
Are you going to Fairway?
I'm going to Fairway.
There's always, in every group, you got the Hy-Vee people and you got the Fairway people.
Well, because I do most of I have 2 jobs.
Okay.
And so my other job takes me more into Webster City.
Okay.
And then my museum job takes me more here
in
Fort Dodge. And so, what I like, and my dad taught me this, he would go shop in 4 different cities and all the grocery stores for the better deal. So he taught me that, but also for the service. Number one, if I go to Fairway in Webster City, which is a shorter distance to my house, it's cheaper than going to Walmart or going to Hy-Vee. So I go for the pricing. But also, I have a bad back, and I have lots of cats, so lots of cat litter. Fairway boys will take it to my car, and they can load it in, and I don't have to have that problem. I usually, when I get home, I do. But at least I don't have to do it twice.
Excellent.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you get both sides. Most people mention Fairway's meat. Okay. Excellent. Other businesses. Thank you. Other businesses you tend to turn to and why? Yes, sir?
I'd say Village Inn. Consistency, fair price, and they always know my name, my family, and my kids like it there. I worked there before.
Interesting. Yeah, and how about convenience stores? I'm curious because it kind of ties into this point. Convenience stores, what's one you tend to frequent? Oh, my.
We are 6 Casey's.
And why? Oh, so it's all in different Casey's.
Yeah.
Is it because it's the only gig in town, or is there a reason?
I think they keep it clean in Casey's.
They keep it clean. Yeah. I mean, I loved what you had said, sir, about the Village Inn. And so many times people in groups like this will refer to their gas station or convenience store, and they'll say, because it's like Cheers. Everybody knows your name when you walk in. Norm. People love that feeling that someone recognizes them. Someone remembers them. And people say, you start your day, and, you're kind of tired, and you walk in there to get a cup of coffee, and pretty soon they're like, hey, how's your day going? And it just uplifts you. Any other businesses, individuals?
Someone's got to say a local bar.
Someone this morning mentioned the margaritas, that they know exactly what they want. Now, let's flip the other side. I want you to think of we're going to go to now, what are your pet peeves? What are the things that drive you crazy about other companies' customer service? And it could be local things, it could be national, and I don't want names of who they are, but it could be national. You call your cell phone provider or you call Microsoft or whatever. But what types of things drive you crazy with other companies' customer service? Yes, ma'am.
Our cable TV. You don't talk to anyone in Brenda. Sorry if anybody.
Okay. You never get to talk to someone locally. Okay.
My cable company, you're never going to talk to somebody, period.
Well, that's it. And Sue says, yeah, I can one-up that one. You don't even get a machine. You get the automated press 1 for this, press 2 for this, and none of the options apply. And then you're like, now what do I do?
Not being able to talk to an actual person.
Don't get an actual person. Pet peeve. Did you have a pet peeve?
I don't like when people do not make eye contact with you, and it makes you seem like they're staring at a smashed bug on the wall or something. Like I'm right here. That just bothers me.
No eye contact whatsoever. Or there's 2 high school girls working the checkout and they're yak, 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 and you're waiting to be checked out and they're more engaged in their conversation than given anything about what you have to do. Or they're on their cell phones. Other pet peeves. Yes.
A company that you call actually for a return and you've got one person that says, oh yeah, we can stop your automatic order, but our other department takes care of the return. So then you have to wait for the other department to contact you. And
yeah.
It's just like...
It's a hassle. We're going to be talking later about always thinking as a company, how can we make things as easy as possible? You know, the Amazon theory. You know, how many of us shop at Amazon? Why do we do that? It's so easy. They make it so easy. I mean, it's so easy that I can go back 3 days later and they'll say, Brenda, you were looking at this. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You know, they do. But a company like that makes returns so difficult for you, it's like, who wants to go through that? All right, let me add one more piece to this. Another question, seems like a silly question, but who are your customers? I want you to think of it this way. This is a quote from Phyllis Thornton. She's an expert in the nursing home industry, but I think it could apply beautifully to any industry. She says this: in the nursing home industry, we often think of the customer as the resident, but in reality, the customer is anyone who comes into contact with the facility. And that means, you know, you may have a restaurant or insurance business or whatever, and I may come in there not as a customer, maybe dropping something off for my son or something who works there. And I'm not even a customer, but the woman or the man at the front desk is kind of cold and kind of difficult and kind of a jerk to me. At that moment, what do? I go out with my girlfriends that night and say, man, you wouldn't believe the jerk I ran into at the insurance company. And suddenly, there goes your reputation as an insurance company. You know, the reality is the customer is anyone who has any contact with you is a potential customer out spreading things about you. All right, we're going to next move into Customer Service 101, Mom, Dad, and the Microwave Repairman. For this, I'm going to give you a brief story, true story about my parents that I think you'll all be able to relate to. We've all had similar experiences. I grew up on a farm just west of Everly, which is in northwest Iowa. How many of you have heard of Everly? Some of you will know that my high school mascot was a little unusual when I was in high school. Kiana, you're kind of a young one. You might find this a bit unique. Now, you know how high schools have mascots like the Tigers, the Bears, the Pirates, whatever. Who knows what my high school mascot was when I was at Everly Community High School? Or surely someone in here knows this. It's not your typical mascot.
Everly High School mascot, is that your answer?
Yeah, what was our mascot?
Woodchuck.
Woodchuck is a great guess. If only it were that normal. We were the Everly Cattle Feeders. And the women's teams, I'm not making it up, the women's teams, you could either call them the Lady Cattle Feeders or the Cattle Feederettes. I had a man at a conference come up to me afterwards, and he said, you're going to want to see this, and he pulled out his cell phone. It was a picture of his mother-in-law, and many of you are not old enough to remember, but in the late 1960s, the actual basketball teams wore little pleated skirts. And so his mother had a little pleated skirt, and across her jersey, it read Cattle Feederettes. I'm not kidding. Do you like that, Kiana? It's pretty bad. I was a cheerleader for the cattle feeders. All right, but anyway, I digress. But I grew up on a farm, and my parents, after all we kids left home in 1989, they built a home in town so that my brother and his wife could eventually settle onto the farm permanently. At the time they built their home in town, my parents put all new appliances throughout their home. So a running joke the last 5 years has been, it seems like every month a different one of their appliances breaks down because they're all reaching that kind of magical 20, 25-year mark when they just can't last any longer. Well, the story begins that a few years ago, their microwave oven quit working. And it was one of those units that my parents actually had built into the cabinetry. Microwave on top, stove on bottom, all connected. So when the microwave oven quit working, my dad said, I don't have to replace the whole thing. How do you do this? He called the appliance store locally where they had purchased the unit. And she said, that's a good question. It's a question for our repairman. I'll leave him a message. He'll call you back within 24 hours. My dad said, perfect. Well, 24 hours came and went, did not hear from the repairman. So my dad called again, and he said, I didn't hear from him. And the receptionist said, I'll give him another message. He'll call you back within 24 hours. And my dad said, well, good, because we're still without a microwave here. We're kind of missing that thing. 24 hours came, did not hear from him again. So my dad called and asked to speak to the manager, the general manager of the appliance store. And the general manager, my dad said, he won't even return my calls. And general manager said, you know what, I will speak to him myself. He'll give you a call back within 24 hours. It's been about 3 years. Never did call them back. Thankfully, in that same week, later in the week, my dad talked to my sister-in-law, and she said, Jack, you know how cheap we are. She said, but we hardly shop around anymore when it comes to appliances. She said, the other company that's local, their repairman is great. We love him. He's handy. He's got a great attitude. Half the time he doesn't charge you. Why don't you call them? And so later that week, my dad did call this man from the other company, left him a voicemail. Within a half hour, the man called back and said, hey, I'm heading out near your small community. I'm within a mile of that place. Why don't I swing by now? Are you guys there? And my dad said, yes, we're here. He swung by their small town, stopped in. It was a fuse on their microwave, took just a few dollars in about 5 minutes. Man had a great attitude, real friendly and everything, went on his merry way. And before he left, my dad said to the repairman, next time one of our appliances breaks down, I sure know which of these companies that we're going to make that sale, give that sale to. And later on, my dad said this to me on the phone that night. He said, Brenda, this man will do more for their company getting and keeping customers than any amount of money they spend on advertising. And I thought, boy, ain't that the truth. The reality is we could spend a lot of companies, we do it, we all do it. We throw lots of money to advertise our products, our services, our goods. We have radio ads, all that. The reality is that none of that means squat if you have one stinker of an employee with an attitude of how dare you bother me today. It could ruin your whole reputation. That's the scary thing. Or the converse, you could have someone like this repairman who goes above and beyond and people go, that place is the place to go. We rely so much on each other. This is from Phyllis Thornton again in the nursing home industry, who says, it is the actions and attitudes of every employee that have the greatest impact on how a facility is perceived by the public. So I want to ask you another question, and this time I want you to jot down this for yourself. When you think of your organization, or your department, the treasurer's office or the auditor's office or whatever, what do you want customers or visitors to say about your organization's products, services, and employees? Please, everybody, jot down anywhere in your notes a few words or phrases that you say, I hope when people talk about us out in the community, I hope they say these types of things about our organization. What are 2 or 3 words or phrases, if you can get more, would be wonderful, that you hope people say about your organization? This is one of the things, I know many of you are here as 1 or 2 of you from your company, but certainly not the whole company. I would encourage you to take this type of activity back to your staff and do it at a team meeting sometime. Say, what are some words or phrases we hope people use to describe us? And make a list there. Review them frequently so to keep it top of mind, this is who we want to be. This is what we're striving for in our daily behaviors. And I think once you see them down, people will be more apt to behave in alignment with those words or phrases. Who'd be willing to share some of your words or phrases you hope people use to describe your organization? Yes, ma'am.
Organized and efficient. I think a lot of people visit our office on their lunch breaks and they want to get out of there as soon as they can.
And that's the treasurer's office, is that correct? Organized and efficient, so they can get in and get out in their lunch hour. I don't know anyone who goes, I really want to hang in the treasurer's office. No, get in, get out. Excellent.
Family-oriented and friendly and accurate and knowledgeable.
Family-oriented, friendly, accurate, knowledgeable. And this is the Fort Dodge Family Credit Union. Excellent. Who else has what? Yes, ma'am.
We represent the Wilson Brewer Park Museums in Webster City.
Okay.
And I wrote down that when they leave, they'll want to come back again.
Wonderful. When they leave, they want to come back again. They're like, that was a great experience.
Awesome. Beautiful place to have a wedding.
Ooh, awesome. Beautiful place to have a wedding. I thought you were going to say the most beautiful people work there. We have good-looking representatives. We're like eye candy for customers here. Excellent. Anybody else? They follow through. They do what they say they're going to do. And remind me, you're with one of the hotels? Or the Holiday Inn. Yes, that if they say we're going to bring extra towels to your room within the half hour, they're there. And you don't have to call down 3 more times to make sure that that happens.
I had problem solving.
Problem solving. And what company? I'm sorry.
Best Western Starlight.
Best Western Starlight. They're problem solvers.
All the workers need to be able to solve their own problems. I mean, there's managers too, but they got to be able to solve simple problems.
Yes, that if something isn't working, say with setup of equipment or whatever.
The classic, let me call my manager.
Yes. They're empowered to be able to solve some of them things themselves, and they're trained enough to be able to do that without always having to get an extra body. Excellent. Well, let me go into now, I'm going to go into the meat and potatoes of great customer service. Any questions or comments before we go into this? The meat and potatoes of great service. These are kind of general expectations across the board. The first one is to be friendly, kind, and a good listener. I can't tell you the number of times I will go to a new company to do training that I've never been there before. And I will go up, walk into the organization, stand at the receptionist desk, and I've got bags in my computer and all this. I obviously don't know where I'm going. And I will stand there, and he or she is on break. They're not sitting there. They're using the restroom. I don't know. They are not at the desk. And I will stand there for 3 or 4 minutes, and I will see employees behind the desk walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They all see me, and no one says a word. What should they be doing? Yes, have you been helped? Mary stepped away from her desk. She'll be right back. Would you like to sit down for a minute, take those things off your shoulder? Nothing. And some people would say, well, that's not my job. That's Mary's job. She's a receptionist. The reality is it's everybody's job within an organization to greet people, to make, be helpful, to go above and beyond. People shouldn't have to wait to get to that right person. It's a basics of great customer service. Second is do what you say you will do or more. This goes to that follow through we were just talking about at the Holiday Inn Express. The fact that ask yourself, how many times do you promise someone something each week? To a promise to a customer is something like when you say, I'll look up that information and I'll call you back this afternoon. You basically promised them, I'm going to call back this afternoon. I'll slip that in the mail. You'll have it in your hands on Friday. That's another promise. I'll check in with you the first of the month. That's another promise. What percentage of the time can you say that you follow through and do exactly what it was that you said that you would do? That's a basic of customer service excellence. Third is you always want to find some way to say yes to a customer. Example, I live in Algona, and a few years ago I was working on a project, and I walked into our local office supply store downtown, and I said, excuse me, to the lady. I said, you don't happen to carry gold paper clips, do you? I said, I need gold paper clips for a project. And she said, well, no, we don't. But she immediately pulled out a catalog and said, I could sure look into ordering them for you. Notice her answer was no, but she found some way to say a yes. Likewise, many times I'll call a local company in Algona, and I'll say, do you provide XYZ service? And they'll say, well, no, we don't. But they'll spend quite a bit of time on the phone with me brainstorming who else might. They'll go, I wonder if that guy downtown, does he do that? Heard there's that person down in Fort Dodge. I wonder if they do that. Think of the impression that makes on me for the next time that I have something that will fall into the realm. I'm like, man, these people go above and beyond. Whenever you say to a customer, they say, can you do X, Y, Z? And you say, no. That's a missed opportunity. You always want to be able to say what we can do in a situation like this. Or, no, we can't offer that within your price range. However, we've got some other great options for you. Well, we can't ship that overnight. We missed the deadline. However, here's what we can do. The other even higher level is to pleasantly surprise a customer. That's a very high level of service. Can anyone give an example of when you have pleasantly surprised a customer? Oh, and you're pointing over here at Luann.
Well, sometimes people will call and say, can I get a cake in an hour?
And you work for Creative Cakes, and they'll say, can I get a cake in an hour? Mm-hmm. Wow.
We probably can't get it done in an hour. We'll get it as quick as we can.
Yes, we can't get it done in an hour, but as quick as we can.
Mm-hmm. Another instance was today, she had an order, the cookies were supposed to have an S, and it looked like a 5 on the paper, so she put a 5 on the cookies. She scraped them all off and put the S back on, and gave them to the lady. Lady did not pay for them.
Wow, I don't know if y'all heard that. It was supposed to be an S, but on the paper it looked like it was a 5, so she did all the cookies in 5s. The person came in and said, no, they're supposed to be S's, scraped them all off, put S's on them, and then didn't charge them anything for the cookies at all. I know everybody's going, dang, that's a pleasant surprise. But those, Fred Lee, he's the author of If Disney Ran Your Hospital. He was a hospital administrator and a Disney administrator. And he calls it the law of the memorable event. That says when people tell about their customer service experience with a company, it's almost always in the form of a story. The time when they scraped off those cookies, they didn't even charge me anything for it. Excellent. Who has another example of surprising a customer? Yes, ma'am.
When we have visitors come to museums, we do this quite frequently. If we know, like, if they tell us before they go tour the museum that they're on their way to such and such place, that they're looking for somewhere to eat, but they'll probably have to eat at the next place or whatever. Sometimes we will look in for them and try to find out where they can eat at such and such place. Another thing is, like, if we know they're going a certain route to, say, South Dakota, and we have somebody on our staff that knows South Dakota very well, she will list out places to stop on the way that they might not know.
Wow, I don't know if y'all heard that. That if their family's visiting there and then saying, we're going to this place across town, that they'll actually look into what restaurants they could actually have time to eat at. Or if they're going on to South Dakota, if someone's familiar with South Dakota, they'll give them a list of recommendations of where to go in South Dakota. Wonderful. Pleasantly surprised. One I shared this morning. Is anyone here from a car dealer? This one was probably to be the most distinct that I've ever had. Was it at the age of 40, which was 12 years ago, I bought my first ever brand new car. It was my first brand new. I'd driven used cars all the years. And so I bought it from the auto dealer Chemnas in Algona. And the next week, really loving the car, enjoying the car. And the next week, there's a doorbell, ring on my doorbell at home. It was a floral delivery to me from the car dealer, congratulating me on my first ever brand new car. Now, my husband was like, you so paid for the cost of those flowers in that car. But I did enjoy it. It was a very pleasant surprise for me. Fourth, recognize that every single employee of your company, I want you to picture every employee that works at your company. The full-time, the part-time, the volunteers, the high school students who help out here and there. Every single one of them represents your company. Every single one of them. Their attitude, their tone of voice, their professionalism, it speaks volumes about your company. If I'm at Kmart in Algona on a Saturday morning and I'm waiting to be checked out, and 2 high school girls are sitting here chatting and not helping me, and they're talking about their boyfriends and their night before, I'm not thinking, well, they really don't represent Kmart. They're just part-time. I'm thinking, get some good help around here, Kmart, and train these people. Every one of you represents your company. I'm curious how many of you, when you're out on the town at night, are aware in your personal life. Not you're home. You're gone for the weekend, but you're local here. You go out to eat or you go out to have a drink with friends. How many of you at that point are still aware that you are representing your company? Yep. And that means you're not a jerk to waiters and waitresses. You don't stiff them on tips. Because the reality is they will say, everybody in the treasurer's department is like that. They don't tip.
No, we're not.
Exactly. Last one is to realize, I want you to think of the first person you encountered this morning when you got up, and every person you've encountered today, and to realize that all day long we walk through our days telling people how much or little we value them. It's literally as if we walk through saying, you know, I kind of value you. You, I really value. You know, so, I'm sorry, I don't value you at all, but you, I value. How do we do that without ever saying those words? How do we do that? We do it all day long.
Facial expressions, smiling, being welcoming to somebody, more welcoming to others. So.
Absolutely. Your facial expression, whether you're smiling, whether you're welcoming, and that speaks volumes. The last taste you ever want to leave in someone's mouth, that bitter taste that lingers, is they didn't value me. It's like my dad said about the appliance guy not returning his calls. It was like I was a nothing to that man. It's a bitter taste that lingers. So make sure you leave no doubt in your customers' minds that they are important to you. This is from Texas A&M, and this is actually an acronym, RATER, which goes for the top criteria customers use to rate their service providers. The first one is reliability. This is to what extent you do what it is that you say that you will do. I knew I had a list, Carrie had given me a list, and I went through, I couldn't get to everybody, but several companies that I knew would be here either the morning or the afternoon, and I went to your websites to see what it is that you say that you're going to do. Is there anybody here from Fort Frenzy? Then I won't tell you what they say they're going to do. Oh, you want to know what they say? Here's what they say. Reliability is to what extent they follow through. They say, this was one of several things. With an array of over 45 plus of the latest video and redemption games, you may have to drag yourself out of here, kicking and screaming. Unlike United Flights. Oh, did I say that? And talk about exclusive. Our Star Wars game is one of only 2 known in Iowa. It's a must-see and play. KHI Solutions. I knew you guys were over there. Do you know what it says? You have no idea. You never read your own website. Most people don't. Our success is predicated on doing the right thing for our customers. We have unsurpassed integrity, personal service, and the highest quality insurance products for the best obtainable value. Ultimately, our goal is to offer the right insurance at the right price in order to deliver unsurpassed confidence and peace of mind to our customers. Do you do that? That's a high bar. Creative Cakes. Are these our cake people? All 5. The whole row. Do you know what it says on your website? They're like, it says, Sue is exceptionally good looking. And no, it doesn't have that on their cake. No, sorry.
I knew that was a mistake.
Life keeps getting sweeter in Fort Dodge, Iowa. In 1996, a young lady decided she was going to begin a bakery stocked with the best cakes, cupcakes, cookies, and bars the area had ever tasted. Pride of Super 8. Do we have Super 8 here? Super 8 was here this morning. One of the things I liked about Super 8 and American both, American, who do we have here? We have one, don't we? One of the things I liked about both your websites, and I did not get to Starlight Village, I'm sorry, I would have been up till like 3 in the morning if I hit everybody. But one of the things I really liked about both of them talked about things you can do and see in the Fort Dodge community that it is, which was very cool to see. The American says this, American Fort Dodge will feel like you're home away from home. American Fort Dodge features upscale bedding, including triple sheeting for our guests' comfort and cleanliness, comfortable, quieter rooms, a hot home-style Maripert breakfast. And then they go on to from the Fort Museum, Friendship Haven, Iowa Central Community College, and the gypsum mining. This city is truly unique. We invite you to Fort Dodge to indulge in our Iowa hospitality. Fort Dodge Family Credit Union. Do you know what it says? It is our opinion that we work harder to serve our members and hold true to the fact that we exist solely to serve our membership. Credit union philosophy runs deep and true within our credit union. Our members truly experience the credit union difference. Last one, Fort Dodge, Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. Anybody here? They were here this morning. All right. But that's reliability. To what extent you do what it is you say that you do. Assurance or trust is to what extent do people trust that when they call your company, they're going to get accurate product knowledge. That it's not going to be they talk to one person and they say this, and someone else in your company says, no, she's wrong, it's this. To what responsiveness is how quickly you respond. When someone comes up to the counter, do you come up quickly or do you kind of take your time and just kind of, I'll get there when I get there? These are the top 10 service expectations from a bank retail customer. And I realize most of you are not in banking, but I think it's one of the best overall lists of just the basics that customers expect. I want to be called back when promised. I want to know who to contact if I have a problem. I want to be allowed to talk to someone in authority. You know, if I can't get an answer from so-and-so, I want to know who I can. And this 10, I think, is a big one. I want to be given progress reports. If they say, you know, we're going to have to look into this problem for you and get back to you, we'll get back to you by 3 o'clock this afternoon, that person may be sitting at their phone waiting, and they're not going out to garden or anything. They are waiting at that phone for you to for them to be able to take that call. I'm going to put this last one, then we'll take our little break here. This last one is healthcare. Who do we have in here from healthcare? Seems like we have a few here that are related to the community health. Thank you, ladies back there. Healthcare has got to be, they have to be much more accountable for customer service. Years ago, it was the case that if you saw the doctor could be the biggest jerk to you, and there was no accountability. For a whole variety of reasons, healthcare is much more accountable to customer service than they used to be. That's why when you see the doctor now, almost always you get a survey in the mail afterwards. They need to know. They need to know for a whole variety of reasons. But because of that, healthcare has been working on customer service. And there's a few lessons I want to share with you before our break that I think that we can all learn from, that healthcare has learned. How important is good communication? A Michigan managed care plan did a study of all the complaint letters they had received about their doctors over the course of a year. So they had a stack of 1,000 complaint letters that patients had written in over the last year complaining about the doctor. What percentage of that stack were complaints about the communication style of the doctor? Throw out a percent. Who said that? Oh my God, you're brilliant. You better play the lottery tonight. It is 90%. 90%. You know, it wasn't that he removed my liver instead of my spleen. That didn't bother me so much. It was the fact he did not communicate well about it. I mean, communication is huge. Let me throw out one more. As a preface to this, how many of you have ever been in the emergency room for any reason in your life? With a child, with a parent, you've been in, okay. Usually if you're in the emergency room, it's a pretty big deal, right? Your child's running a high fever, you're having chest pains, you've been shot. It's usually a pretty big deal if you're in the emergency room. They did a study in a Williamsport, Pennsylvania hospital. They wanted to know, of the 3 people that the patient typically encounters in the emergency room, it's 3 staff members they typically encounter, they wanted to know which one was the key player. Which one was the most important in determining whether or not you'd be satisfied in the ER with your customer service experience? So the 3 people a patient typically encounters are the ER doctor, the ER nurse, and the ER receptionist. Typically, those are the 3 main players. They studied and analyzed extensive records to find out which one of those 3 was the key player in determining whether or not you'd be satisfied in the ER. So we're going to take a vote here. How many of you vote that I think the key player is the ER doctor? It should be. You know, yeah, you're having chest pains. I would think so. ER nurse. How many vote ER nurse? How many vote ER receptionist, you crazy people? It was the receptionist. I bled to death, but thank God she greeted me first. That was really, as I passed on to the other side, that I had a nice break. Someone explain this to me. There is no time more than when you're in the emergency room, when you need excellent, skilled care of doctors and nurses. The biggest player was the receptionist. Someone explain this to me.
So generally, you like to be greeted right away.
Yep.
There, I think it's even more important because if you get, if you go there and she's not talking to one of the medical assistants or whatever and snacking on food and stuff, which did happen to me one time there. We sat in the chair for like 5 minutes. And
Oh my, I don't know if everybody can hear. They went into the emergency room, and rather than her attending to you, she was sitting here snacking on some food and talking to the medical assistants, just chatting.
But, so then, right off the get-go, I'm already disappointed. So
Wait,
then
probably
no
more
matter
than,
what
I'd be
service-
ticked.
So no matter what service I got that night, I was already mad.
Yeah.
But the next time, the girl greeted me right away. You know, then even though we did sit in the room a little bit longer, we were waiting because they were with other patients. You know what I mean? So I was happy. I wasn't disappointed with sitting and waiting that time. And
The first impression sets the whole tone. I want you to realize that the first impression sets the whole tone. I want you to think how many of you would say you are once in a while the first impression people have of your company or of your organization. What impression do you give? We are skilled, capable people. We care. We want to do things right. Or like, let me finish my banana first before I deal with your thumb that got chopped off. That one I hit. Last one here, and then we'll take our little break here. Well, we'll do that after break. All right, let's stop. Let me look at the clock here. It takes a lot. It's to keep an existing one. It's 5. 5 times as much to get a new customer as it takes to just keep the one that you have happy. If you're in healthcare, the number is 10 times as much. So you really want, if you have a customer, they're in the place, keep them very happy. I want you to take a look at this for a moment. I'm not sure. Was that Sue? That was Sue leaving Creative Cakes on Friday. Woo!
That's where she got all these bruises.
I want you to get yourself in the mindset of people who come through Fort Dodge on a weekend. Again, because you've got people in Fort Dodge who will frequent your businesses, but the ideal is to attract people from other parts of the state or people who come here for the softball tournament and say, what a great place. And then they decide, let's go away for a weekend. Let's run to Fort Dodge for the weekend. We'll do a little shopping, blah, blah, blah. We'll do whatever we're going to do. Take the kids to Fort Frenzy. And I want you to just put yourself in the mindset of most of us when we leave for the weekend. We're going out of town. We leave work on Friday and we're like, yes. If we have kids with us by Saturday morning, we're thinking this. I desperately need coffee. How many of you, by the way, have traveled with children on a family vacation or weekend? How many of you had a perfect experience every moment, a perfect stress-free experience every moment of that day? After a lot of threatening, excuse me. Seriously, my back has not been the same. This is the stupidest thing. Over Easter, our Mass was so long at our church. We knelt for 30 minutes for the rosary and then 30 minutes for communion, and now my back is sore this week. Too much information. Anyway, so for most families, especially if they're traveling with children, it's like there are some stressful moments. And then by the end of the weekend, they're like, and just like that, poof. We can't go. Where it went. To put yourself in the mind of travelers that come through the area, many of them are tired. They're stressed out. They feel like I have just a few vacation days and I'm taking those to be here. Money is going way faster than I ever thought humanly possible. Where the heck did all our money go? We got so much dollars of cash and we're through it. They have needs, they have wants. And I want you to think about putting yourself in their shoes and some ways to make it as pleasant as possible so people say, that was a good visit, let's go back there. Make their visit as stress-free as possible. Refer to Amazon. Make it as easy as humanly possible for the visitors, whatever that is, whether it's easy, reservation, easy process at the treasurer's office, think easy. Anticipate their needs versus responding to. The difference is, if you're a hotel, anticipating people's needs is having towels already in the pool area. Responding to needs is I'm all wet and my kids are wet and I walk up to the front desk and say, could you get some more towels at the pool area? That's responding to. Anticipating is better. If you're a restaurant, anticipating someone's needs is after you've given them coffee in the morning, about 10 minutes later, what are they probably going to want? More coffee. You anticipate that. You come by. You don't wait till they have to flag you down to get another one. If they're in the area, they may want to know what's a place. Even if they stop at the car deal or whatever, they want to know what's a good place to eat around here. What are some of your favorites? And to be willing to offer that up and say, you know, while you're in town, if you got a couple hours to kill, you might want to run to blah, blah, blah. They've got great places. Third is to be empathetic, patient, and understanding. How many of you have been out to the Black Hills? I'm just curious. How many of you have been to Custer Park? Okay. When I was out there a few years ago, I had the opportunity the one day to shadow Craig Pugsley, who's been the director he just retired from Custer Park, the beloved director for about 40 years. He's amazing. And I watched him train his 100 people that morning. He has about 100. Some of them are volunteers, but most of them are paid employees. Could be high school kids, could be retired folks in the summer. And I heard him train them this way, and I loved it. He said, many times during the summer, you're going to find yourself working the booth when people drive in their car to Custer Park. It's the first place that they stop to pay their admission to get into the park. And he said, on those days, you are going to sit in that little booth, and you're going to have 100 cars come through, and every single car is going to ask you the same question. I heard, where was that? Where's the restrooms? That's what I would have guessed, but it is not where's the restrooms. I would have guessed that. What is it, do you suppose? Where's the buffalo? Where's the buffalo? Because if you've been out there, it's not like a zoo. You know, they're buffalo. They roam. They go wherever they're going to go. And so you literally talk many acres. And he says, I want you to picture this. That all day long, 100 cars are going to come up one at a time. Hi, do you guys have buffalo? Where would I find them? Where's the buffalo? Where's the buffalo? Where's the buffalo? Hey, do you guys, we were kind of wondering, this might be a stupid question, but where are the buffalo? Now, I just want you to picture 100 cars that day. Going through, and some of them getting out quickly, some of them real slowly inquiring about the buffalo, and you're thinking, I will come through this car and strangle you. And what Craig Pugsley said, he said, I want you to respond to that person's inquiry as joyfully and cheerfully and patient and as excited for that 100th car of the day as you did for the first one that day. That is a tall order. But that's, I think, for all of us, that's the goal. And you can say to people, you know, when you're done working with people all day and you're exhausted, go home, veg out, scream, yell, whatever. But when you're here, have that same patience, enthusiasm all day long. Seek to go above and beyond. I'll real quickly share the blow dryer incident of 2016. This happened, this last summer, I was speaking at a nursing conference up at Lake Okoboji. One of the nicest resorts up there. It's an annual nursing conference they have. And I was staying at the resort where it was. Beautiful resort, one of their nicest up there, which will remain unnamed. I stayed there Wednesday night because the conference started Thursday morning. I was the first speaker in the morning, Thursday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. for 200 nurses. I woke up in that morning, I got out of the shower, went to grab the blow dryer on the wall. It was not working. Now, I stayed about 40 nights a year in hotels, so I know my way around a hotel blow dryer. I'm trying to reset the thing. I'm trying every possible configuration. The thing is dead as a doornail. I called the front desk of the resort and I said, hi. I said, excuse me, I'm here for the nursing conference. And she said, oh, yes, we have many nurses staying here, last night. I said, yeah. I said, I'm the first speaker this morning and I just stepped out of my shower. And I said, the blow dryer on the wall is not working. I said, could you please send someone down with a replacement for me? And she said, well, I think the only ones we have are the ones on the wall. Sorry. Click. I'm not exaggerating. That was exactly how it played out. Now, the women are shocked. The men are always like, what? I don't get it. Sir, you have no reaction. But God forbid they tow your car because you're 5 minutes over this afternoon. This is a problem. Oh, did you? What did you do? I'm just curious. Oh, you moved the car. I'm so concerned. We have a member of the police department here. He could fix that for you. All right, but I digress. You tell me. That was exactly what she said. Sorry. Click. Now, most of us don't work in hotels. What could she have done?
I will give one to you as soon as I...
Yes, let me locate one. Let me talk to maintenance. Some people have suggested I'd run to my house and get the dang thing. I'd run to Walmart. I would stir up some sort, find an empty room that had one in it. What did her response say to me? Sorry.
But I will never stay here.
Yes, click. I don't care. She might as well have said, I really don't give a rat's you know what about what you say. Click. It meant nothing. I want you to think about that with your people, to ask them, do you go above and beyond, or give the impression that, I just really don't want to inconvenience myself right now, so I'm not going to. Second of all, is make them feel good about interacting with you. Pay attention to the greeting. The greeting is huge. How many of you have been to Disney? Has anyone been to the Wilderness Lodge? I haven't been to neither. But Disney is known as, the creme de la creme of customer service. I mean, they're just consistently recognized as very great customer service. And I read about, at the Wilderness Lodge, they actually train you. The first contact you have when you drive up to the Wilderness Lodge is with the valet, the person who's, greeting the cars and whatnot, maybe parking it for you. And they have trained their valets 5 steps in how to greet people. 5 steps. And I'll just give you a feel. That's how important they think the greeting is, that it's 5 steps. And some people might say, why don't they just have a script that they say to each one? That'd be easier. They don't want, you're saying, no, you're right. What?
They don't want script at all.
Yes.
They want a personal touch.
They want a personal touch. They don't, we've all flown, and at the end of the flight, they read the script. We thank you for flying American Airlines. We know that you have a choice of carrier, blah, blah, and you're like, yeah, thank you, that was so sincere. They don't want it to seem scripted. They give them 5 things, and I'll quickly rattle off what they are, just to get some feel for, wow, Disney goes above and beyond. The first step they say the valet does, give the family a big, over-the-top welcome in whatever feels natural for your personality. Number 2, notice the license plate. Why?
Oh, I see you're from...
I see you're from Iowa. Isn't that the Hawkeye State? Blah, blah, blah. 3, wave to the kids in the back. Hi, welcome to Disney. 4th thing, notice any decal or anything like that, like if it has, we play sports, whatever, on that, so you can comment to them about that. And the 5th one is take the family's lead in what they want to talk about. Do they want to talk about the Disney princesses? Do they want to talk about the flat tire they had? What do they want to talk about, and take their lead? The reason I share that is to make the point of how important greeting is to people, that first impression. Take personal responsibility for customers' needs. Rather than saying the item is over there, walk them there. Rather than saying you're going to have to talk to our business department, say, let me get Jane from the business department on the phone for you right now, and we'll get to the bottom of this. This is really important. I absolutely love the idea that Carrie has of the free advertising that say when the state tournament is here for softball, that there's actually coupons. It costs you nothing to put a coupon in there. And I don't know how many of you have traveled with children. If children, like 11-year-old kids, once they see a coupon, especially if something's free, they're all over that. I mean, it might be a 5-cent item, but they're like, we must stop and get the wooden nickel at this place. We must go there. And then we end up spending $300 while in the souvenir shop because they wanted to get that nickel item. But I think it's such a great thing that you can actually put some sort of coupon or something in there for a free dessert or whatever is a wonderful thing. But I would say for all of us, be careful about fine print on offers. There is nothing worse than your family's like, oh, wow, they have buy one entree, get one free. And you're like, oh, this will be great. Finally, we won't spend so much money on the family. And you get in the restaurant and they're like, well, I'm sorry, that's only on the 3rd Tuesday of the 4th month in the, such a, and you're like, ugh. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Maintain professional appearance, behaviors, and attitude by all staff at all times. And I would encourage your staff that even when they're on break, they still need to be professional. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Kansas City, trying to figure out which entrance on the hotel for the conference room I was to enter, and I was having no luck whatsoever, and there were a few women who were hotel employees had taken a smoke break outside. And I just rolled down the window. I said, excuse me, could you tell me? And they were the friendliest, nicest, most professional group of women. And I thought they either have a lot of integrity or they were trained well. That, yeah, you're on break, but they immediately got to whatever needs that I had. Most of us know this, professional phone etiquette. The 3 criteria or elements of an effective phone greeting. The salutation, like good morning, good afternoon. Identify, XYZ Resort, this is Brenda. And the solicitation, how may we help you? Minimize background noise. That means when people call your place of business, there shouldn't sound like a bar, unless if it is a bar. No eating, drinking, slurping, chewing gum, though, and that in front of customers too. I mean, that's just appalling that the emergency room person will be snacking while you're waiting to be seen. 5 qualities of a phone voice, and I practice this with your people. You should sound alert, not like, well, you woke me up for this. Pleasant, conversational, articulate, and expressive. It shouldn't just be monotone that I'm just so sad that I have to answer this phone again. Third is exceptional internal customer service. Can someone tell me what service is? You guys are busting a gut here over the cat. What is internal customer service? It's service to your coworkers. How well do you treat one another? Do you provide the same type of above and beyond service? You had a look of, guilty as charged. It is huge. Personally, I believe that part of your pay when you're in the service industry, part of your pay each week goes to you being in a good mood. Part of your pay, part of the reason you're paid, I wish they sometimes put it out on the deposit slip or whatever, you were paid $100 this week to be in a good mood. And some people say, wait a minute. First of all, I want to clarify. By good mood, I do not mean the fake over-the-top mood. Like, oh my God, I'm just having the best day ever. Where you just want to slap that person? But I mean, ask yourself, when I pull into my workplace, do people have some idea of which version of me is showing up? Are we getting the nice Brenda today, or are we getting the nasty Brenda today? Ask yourself, that is part of internal customer service. And when I say part of your pay, and people scoff at that, I want you to think of it this way. How many of you have children or grandchildren in school? I tell their teachers that. Little Susie, part of your pay, teacher, is to be in a good mood for those children. Those little 7-year-olds shouldn't have to wonder what kind of day they're going to have, depending on which version of Mrs. Smith shows up this morning. We're going to have a good day, we're going to get yelled at all day. Those 7-year-olds shouldn't have to put up with that. Long-term care in the nursing home. My mother, if she's in the nurse, she's not, but if she were, she should not have to wonder if she's going to be treated with kindness that day or not, depending on the fight you had with your husband at home before you came to work. And if you say, well, I can't control it, then get out of the service industry. There's a lot of jobs out there that don't require serving people. Part of your pay. The other thing that is important to realize, this is, true or false. As long as I'm providing great service to our clients, it really doesn't matter if I'm inconsiderate or short-tempered to my colleagues. We're just coworkers. The studies clearly tell us if you take any company's ratings for internal customer service, how they treat each other, and the ratings for external customer service, they're almost indistinguishable. That if we think I can be so sweetsy to the customer, turn around and bark at my colleague, and that's not going to affect the quality of our service. People sense that. We've all been that. You have the restaurant and she's so sweetsy to you, and you see her throwing a glance at her coworker that's nasty. That affects people. So just be aware of that. Another thing, and I'll put this up here, ask yourself and your people, most days you show up with an attitude of mojo or no-jo. Mojo is the I'm here, I'm ready to go. Might be a little tired from the weekend, but I'm going to serve our customers with excellence. I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm grateful to have a good job, grateful to work with all of you. I'm going to be a good coworker, the good attitude. I'm here to go. No-jo is the person who comes into work and they're chronically, just give me the minimum to get by. And they complain all day long about how bad work is. So at the end of the day, they can go home to their family and do what?
Complain about how bad work.
How bad work was and how bad home life is so bad. I really want to say, in most industries that are service industries, there's very little tolerance for no-jo. If you want to survive for the long run, there's very little tolerance. And I certainly tell people in nursing homes and school, there's no tolerance for no-jo. We all have a bad day once in a while. but this should not be a regular attitude you have. This is one of the few times you will see Richard Simmons and Donald Trump in the same slide, so just take it all in. Enjoy the moment. I'm not making a political statement. I've had Donald in here for years. This is just about know what type of customer you're dealing with. Like the director, who's take charge. Here's what we need to do. I'd like you to do X, Y, Z. This is the choice that I have. Let's get to it. There's no point in arguing with that person. There's no point chit-chatting with that person. They're just like, I want to be the one in charge. Then we have the Richard Simmons, the socializer. It's a social event for them to visit the treasurer's office. How many of you know customers like that? It's about the social. They want that. The good thing is to know the difference. The analytical. These are the people before they visit your hotel, sir. They have read every TripAdvisor report. They've read consumer reports. They have compared prices on 30 sites and have an Excel grid about it. And you know that that's the type of person you're dealing with. Then you don't try to BS them in any way. Certainly respect the fact that they're going to know their numbers. One other I'll put up here is the bargain shopper. We have an example here. This is a receipt. I spent $91 and I saved $213.98. What store is that? Kohl's. That's the women. How many of the men knew that was Kohl's? I'll be so impressed. We did. Yes, sir. Impressive. Ah. What I want to say here is there are a certain percentage of people who are bargain shoppers, and they just feel the need to know they got some discount. They got something, and that's why those coupons can be powerful. Just to know, my God, we're throwing so much money at this weekend away. We did get a free dessert out of the deal. We got something free out of the deal is important to them. Fifth is give them a pleasant surprise. I would encourage you to just think about how pleasant surprises can be a wonderful way, especially now with social media, for if you pleasantly surprise a customer and they post it on social media, how that can go around. I'll give you a quick example here from our own life. Put up a picture. My boys would kill me if they knew I was using this. This was probably 12 years ago. We checked into I had booked the Comfort Inn and Suites. We're taking a little family vacation in the summer. Comfort Inn and Suites, it was a water park hotel in Brainerd, Baxter, Minnesota. It is a water park hotel, has many different kinds of rooms. So you could go online, and money was very tight for us at that time. And you could go online and book, the El Creme de la Creme room on down to the El Cheapo room. And there were 7 kinds of rooms. Guess which one I booked for our family? El Cheapo. I booked the cheapest one there because money was tight. Spent a lot on vacation. We were only gone for like 3 or 4 days, but it was a lot of money to us. And I remember vividly, we pulled into the parking lot. It was our last day of vacation, or going to be our last night. And I said to my husband, I booked the El Cheapo room. I said, I booked the cheapest room they have. I said, should I, upgrade us to something a little nicer? I said, I really booked. He said, no, Brenda, we've spent a lot of money already. He said, everything has been higher priced than we expected. He said, no, we'll just, the main thing is that we go to the water park. So I said, okay. I go in to check in, and the lady says, she said, we're really not very busy tonight, and I see that you have a family of 5. And I said, yes. And she said, I hope you don't mind we put you into a different room tonight. And I said, oh, that's fine. Check into it. They had booked us in the mother of all suites, the top level, for free. And we walked in. You can see we were so excited, seeing in multiple rooms. Joshua can't even see. He's so excited. He's like, oh, my God! That was their room. There were several rooms in this. We had French doors into our private room with a private bathroom. There was a kitchen. There was a whirlpool. This thing was just the mother of all suites, and we just about died. We were screaming. We looked like a bunch of idiots running through the hotel. Ah! Just could not believe it. But I want you to think about that. Number one, how many times have I retold that story? And number 2, if I were on Facebook, I can guarantee you I would have posted pictures and linked it to the hotel. The other thing is I had the next day, we were getting ready to check out, and I noticed there was a Choice Privileges brochure where you could sign up for a Choice Privileges credit card. And I signed up. And it's still a credit card to this day. My husband and I both have that, have stayed many, many, many times with that chain. It made an impression on me. Question though, this had a huge impact on me. How much did this cost that hotel? Yeah, pretty much nothing. Maybe a little more to clean. Pretty much nothing. always do some brainstorming as a staff. Can we pleasantly surprise people in any kind of way? I've had hotels in Fairfield Inn, because I travel a lot, Fairfield Inn in Ottumwa on Valentine's morning. The manager came by with a little cart, and she said, for those of you who are going to be away from your loved ones on Valentine's Day, I've got you each a little baggie of heart treats for you. Just little things that can make you feel real good, and post that on social media. I guess I'll put this up here, then I'm going to start going to upset customers. This is a really kind of out of the box, but I was struck by it's kind of a clever idea. Meaning, could you ever, the Fort Museum, partner with another attraction or hotel in town to make something kind of special out of it? Here's the example just to get your mind going, because it struck a thing for me. A few years ago, I had chaperoned the Bishop Garrigan High School's band and choir trip to Nashville. And so we went to Nashville, and we had several things the kids were doing. We went to Studio B in Nashville, which was where Elvis, Dolly Parton, a whole bunch of major country singers recorded their biggest hits. Where they got to show us, that it was in this room in Studio B where Elvis recorded At Midnight, Are You Lonesome Tonight, with all the lights down, and we got to play his piano. It's just like, wow, I just get goosebumps thinking it was very powerful. And they allowed the kids to they had them come prepared to, in the studio, record 2 songs. One of them was Africa by Toto that they sang. And so we parents were all back in the control room where they actually had their people as they were recording this. And it was just such a powerful experience to have that. So we had a great experience, and we were all like high from that and going, wow, it was awesome. We all get back on the bus. Bus driver says, well, it's supper time. And we go, oh my God, really? Yeah, let's head to the Wild Horse Saloon and we'll do some line dancing. So we all went to Wild Horse Saloon, and we're all line dancing and having a good time and having our supper they had ready for us. And in the middle of the line dancing, they said, you know what, we have a group here from Algona, Iowa. And they were just at Studio B, and they recorded a song. I think we'll play it right now. And they played our song in front of the whole group. And the kids were like, we love you, Nashville. And there were other schools across the way, waving back at us and whatnot. It was a very powerful experience. And I'm sure for tour planners coming through, the thought that they could pull off this surprise was a big selling point for people doing both of those. So I just give you some food for thought. All right. This last piece here, and then we'll get to upset. It's just monitor social media. Knowing that social media can go so viral so quickly, like with the United incident, monitor it closely and be sure to be on there responding to people. The other thing you might think about is how can we utilize social media to our advantage? For instance, having a fun photo op. When I was in Ottumwa last year, oh gosh, I don't know the name of the town. It's a small town that was where where the painting was done, the farmer and his wife. Do you know what I'm talking about? American Gothic, thank you. I'm not the most cultured person in the world. Where the farmer's standing there and he's got the pitchfork. And well, of course, at that, if you visit that place, they have a fake one of it with the heads where you can put it through. And they said everybody wants to go there and get their picture taken with the American Gothic with their head through. And they posted it on social media, and everybody goes, well, if we're down near Ottumwa, we got to get our picture taken in American Gothic. And so they've created a photo op so people want to go there and get their photo taken. I know it sounds strange, but people post this on social media, and people are like, let's go there. I want to do that. All right, for this last piece, here's what I want you to do. Gather the people at your table. Let's hope they're all smart people. If you need to move, just let me know. All right, for this last piece, here's what I want to know. Once in a while, you will have an upset customer. It can happen. The ball gets dropped. We're human. What would you say are the do's and don'ts of handling situations with upset customers? You get someone, they're angry, they're upset, the ball got dropped. What are the do's, things you should do in dealing with that customer? What are the don'ts, things you should not do with that customer? All right, brainstorm at your tables there, and then we'll give you 3 or 4 statistics. The average wrong customer will tell how many people. This was pre-social media, and it was 8 to 16 people. Now they post it on Facebook, they tweet about it, and it is everywhere. There was a hotel in Sioux Falls over the break. Did any of you see that on Facebook where they had cockroaches in their room? And the couple was not happy, and so they videotaped the cockroaches up front. And they posted it on social media, including when the management sent them down to a new room. The dad was videotaping, and he come across to one door, and he goes, oh, look at this door. And it had duct tape sealing up the door. And he was like, oh, is there a dead body in here or more cockroaches? My understanding, last I talked to someone, they said 1 million people have viewed it. Oh, ow, ow. And the reason they did that, they felt like the hotel management had not been attentive enough to their concerns. It takes how many good customer service experiences with a company to overcome one bad one? Yeah, what they found was 12, but I certainly believe there are cases that are so egregious that the person will never come back again. You know, they're like, I will not step my foot in the door. All right, you tell me the do's and don'ts. Let's start with the do's, customer service. Do you have one here?
Reassure that the problem is going to be fixed.
Love it. Reassure that the problem is going to be fixed. Problem's going to be handled. We're going to make things right.
Admit that you've done wrong or someone else, but just take it yourself.
Yes.
Don't say, oh, it was her fault, and I'll take care of it. Take it.
Just take it, right. If you blame other people, it just makes you look bad, look unprofessional, and they don't care who dropped the ball. To them, it's just a matter of just accept it yourself. And you don't want to say, you know, you screwed up. You can certainly say, you know, for future reference, we'll need to do X, Y, Z, but you're still taking it on as if this is my issue, and you're apologizing for it. You're apologizing this happened. Another do.
Just try to make it right if you can.
Yeah, do the best you can. A good faith effort to make it right. Excellent. Another do.
Come up with a quick solution.
Yes, if at all possible. And I always think the sooner the better. If you're on the phone and say it really is like a charge on their account that shouldn't be there, to say to them, I'm removing from that charge from your account right now. Or to say, as soon as I get off the phone, I'm going to place a call to our maintenance department to discuss X, Y, Z. As soon as I get off the phone, you know, the sooner the better. Excellent. Another do. Or are we out of do's? Let's go to a don't. What is a don't? Do not do this with customers.
Walk away.
Don't walk away. Excellent.
Or blow them off.
Or blow them off in whatever. Whatever.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, like, sorry, we don't have any. Click. Another don't. Don't argue with them. That's a great point. Train all your people, don't argue with people.
I was thinking of a do. We repeat back what they said.
Love it. What company are you with?
Holiday.
I mean, that's a great skill, and it's up here when we look at this, that the first thing you want to do, hear them out, let them talk, and let them get it out, and don't interrupt them. It's a gross analogy, but I think of like someone with the flu. Sometimes they just have to get it all out. Don't interrupt them. Let them vent and get it out, and then paraphrase. Repeat back. Say, let me see if I have this straight. You called our place on such and such, blah, 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 blah. To paraphrase it back. Yes, sir.
A hard thing to do is to thank them for telling you.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to have that attitude, but if you have the attitude, they call you and complain, you're like, thank you so much for letting me know this. You've already started ahead. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to be like honestly doing that. I mean, it's easy just to say it. But if you actually are really grateful that they're telling you, they'll feel that in your voice and in your conversation with them.
Absolutely. You can gain a more loyal customer. I mean, they actually show that. Studies in the hotel industry say if I stay at a hotel and have a problem with my room and they make it right, I'll be a more loyal customer to that chain than if I'd not had a problem. It's crazy. Do's and don'ts. Do you have one?
Don't blame them.
Don't blame the customer. Excellent. Another do or don't.
Don't make excuses.
Don't make excuses. They don't want to hear 30 reasons why it didn't happen. They're just thinking it isn't done right. Another do or don't.
Really, don't tell them you know how they feel.
Oh.
People don't like that.
Don't tell them I know exactly how you feel. Because even people, I mean, I've heard people say like someone loses a spouse and you lost your spouse. I know exactly how you feel. They're thinking, no, you have no idea what my relationship was with my spouse and blah, blah, blah. So don't say that. Excellent. Another do or don't.
Tell them it's not my job.
Oh, it's not my job. That's another one here. Do you guys have any more?
Take responsibility.
Do take responsibility for it. Excellent. Another do or don't? Pretty much. Anybody else? what I'm going to put up here is the HEAT method of service recovery. And I am watching our time, so I won't keep you over, I promise. But I want to put up is HEAT. The first one, like I said, is hear them out. General rule of thumb is by the time you have someone complain to your company, you no longer have one problem on your hands, you have two problems on your hands. The first problem you have is whatever issue, what happened, the screw up. That's your first problem. Second problem you have is the person's emotional distress. General rule of thumb, fix the person first and then the problem. Fix their emotional distress, get them to calm down first, and then they're going to be much, much more open to working with you on the problem. You fix the person by letting them talk, paraphrasing, empathizing, acknowledging their convenience, saying something like, oh my gosh, I bet that was upsetting. Oh, I bet that bill was surprising to you. I bet you were shocked that estimate was higher. Some sort of empathy that, oh my gosh, that you can acknowledge that. And once they calm down, they're going to be much more open to working with you. The A is you want to apologize sincerely. Let them know you're here to help. Tell them what it is you're going to be able to do, what the options are for what. Don't just say, no, we can't do that. Say, well, in a situation like that, here's what we can do. Here are our options. And thank them for bringing the matter to your attention. Like the sir said, have a genuine attitude that at least they're telling me and not posting it on social media. They're giving us an opportunity to fix this thing. Let's see if I'm missing anything. This is a biggie. Watch your body language and tone of voice. And I would encourage you to train all your staff members that body language and tone of voice is huge. Our studies tell us that when you're talking to someone, like when I'm communicating to you right now, only 7% of whatever message you're getting from me right now is based upon my words. Only 7%. 93% comes from other things. 38% of whatever message you're getting from me right now, 38% is from my tone of voice. 55% is from my body language. So I've had people say, your name, ma'am? Heather? I don't know why customer Heather got so bent out of shape. All I did is I walked up to Heather and I said, Heather, I'm totally open to what you have to say. What? I'm open, Heather. You get the idea. You may have said some really sweet words, but in a really nasty way. Also know if you have any atonement options. Know within your company who has the authority to remove a charge, who has the authority to offer a discount, to do something in compensation, knowing that it's never a substitute for good service. You can't, if someone's complaining to you, you can't just say, pipe down and have a free cupcake. They're not going to be happy. You have to use great skills. I'm sure you wanted to do that. Have a cupcake. Take a cupcake. As we're wrapping up here, do's and don'ts of de-escalating situations with angry customers. Do not interrupt. Do not say calm down. That will send them over the edge. Do not blame another department. Don't argue back. Do not use confusing jargon. That's internal language that only you understand internally. And they're like, they just want to kill you because they don't even understand what you're talking about. Do humanize yourself and them as much as possible. And by that I mean share your name, call them by name. They're less apt to scream at someone who they actually know is a person with a name. Do keep your calm tone, your open body language. If it's confusing, say, is it okay if I take some notes? I want to make sure that I get this right. Remember, people under stress hate to be left in the dark. They want updates on how this thing is going. It's worth taking the time to communicate. And do de-stress yourself regularly. Phrases to use if you want to make angry customers more angry. No, I can't. I don't know. What should you say? I don't know. I will find out, and then follow through. You'll have to. What does that phrase mean? You'll have to. Yeah, I'm done. I'm washing my hands of it. It's your problem. It's not mine. What about you should have? Yeah, you're blaming the customer. That doesn't go well. And my personal favorite is this. I'll be honest with you. Which basically means I've been lying through my teeth up until this point. But now I'm going to stop and be honest for a moment. You're in your packet. I'll just show you your one-pager. This is one, feel free to take this back and use it with your people. If you want clean copies, just email me, and I'm happy to send you any of these materials fresh and new. And I encourage people to take the assessment and communicate with each other. And it's all customer service items talking about how you treat internal and external customers both. It's a great assessment and then has people identify strengths, areas for improvement. All right, as we wrap up, we're going to have some door prizes, so don't sneak out the door. How many times can I drop this thing in one session? You're in charge of my bottle. Okay. What is one point? I won't even bother to have you jot it down. One point you'll remember from this session. Please tell me a few items that stuck with you that you'll remember.
Your stories.
Oh, the stories?
Just your stories, individual places, like the motel thing. I mean, it was really neat that they do that.
Yeah, I mean, it does. You keep it in mind and think, could we pleasantly surprise someone in that way? Excellent.
You dwelt on being courteous.
Yes, courteous, kindness, it goes a long ways. Excellent. Other points?
How important body language is.
Oh, body language, huge. Huge. If you email me, I have a chart of good body language versus more negative body language you could share with your team.
Cool. Your personal situations, what you came across.
Yeah, the personal situations I've encountered and how that makes you feel.
Yeah.
Remembering something from like a teacher's past day.
Yeah.
Of a guest, if they're a return guest, remembering some little thing about that guest that you greet them with.
Oh, that's wonderful when they say, hey, how's your travels going or whatever, they remember you. Excellent.
How you treat your coworkers.
How you treat your coworkers is huge. It is just huge. All right, I'm going to wrap it up by this. I'm going to turn it over for our door prizes. First, thank you for your great attention on each other. You want people, when they leave and they look back through their photos of their time in Fort Dodge, to say, dang, those people were friendly. I loved it. Remember when we visited that cupcake shop? Oh, my God, that was great. And when we stopped here, yeah, the people in the treasure store, they're little. We want to have them say good things. So finally, it really comes down to what feelings will they associate as they think to their time that they have worked with your office, with your organization. Bottom line is this. I've learned that people will forget what you've said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Want them to feel valued, special, appreciated, that sort of thing. So with that, thank you for your great attention. I'm going to turn it over to Carrie, who has door prizes.
Great presentation. Thank you. Would you